Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back. We are going to start our next project. I want to take a little bit of time and show you what we're doing. Are you ready? You might need some sunglasses for this one. Here it is. Boom. I'm calling this one Neon Animals. We're going to study an artist. His name is Dean Russo. This project is going to talk about the elements of art such as line, color, and a principle of art called pattern. But first, let's take a look at Dean Russo and get to know his artwork a little bit more. Art and animals, these two passions define Dean Russo, who is a Brooklyn, New York-based artist. His work includes vibrant, bold colors and abstract patterns to give a voice to his favorite subject, animals. Dean grew up in a home filled with art supplies and from an early age began drawing cartoon characters, which became a great influence in his later work. Dean starts his paintings with the eyes because, as every animal lover knows, the eyes are the most expressive feature. Dean's main subjects are dogs, with pit bulls representing the majority of his work. He says, "Pit bulls are a misunderstood breed, and I'm just happy to be able to get the message about animal rescue out there." Dean Russo's art studio is also dedicated to animal rescue and has participated in charity and fundraising events to raise awareness and help out in the animal welfare community. Dean hopes to convey the care and devotion of animal lovers of every kind, from dogs and cats to horses and beyond. Through inspiring messages and bright prints, Dean Russo's work is sure to brighten anyone's day. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose what template you want to use. These are all of our options. I'm just going to flip through them really quick. But you will choose which animal you want to do. You'll notice that all of these are what we would call a contour drawing. And a contour line is one that defines the edge of an object. So basically it's like an outline. There's not a lot of shading. There's no value. It's just a line drawing. So you're going to choose one of these templates, and I would pick one that has a little more meaning to you. Okay? Now, if you wanted to, you could make this even more meaningful. For example, I'm going to do my painting of my dog. Here he is. It's Junkyard. So I had to take a photo and print it out, and then I used a piece of tracing paper, and I created a contour line drawing of Junkyard. This will then be my template that I'm going to trace onto my watercolor paper. Now, if you don't have that as an option to print a picture, or maybe you don't have a pet of your own, maybe you could choose one of the templates that just has the most meaning to you. When we're creating our artwork, when you can find a personal connection to the artwork, chances are you're going to spend much more time developing the piece, and you'll be much more proud and accomplished at the end of it. So go through the templates, and you're going to pick one that means the most to you. Okay, so the first step is going to be tracing your template after you've chosen which one you want to do. There's several different ways that you can do this. In the art room, I've got these light boxes, which are great. They light up, you put your template over it, you put your paper over it, and you can trace it. But not everybody has these. So the best thing we could do, especially if we're at home, is we can use a window. Now, obviously, I'm here really, really early at work, and it's still dark out, but I wanted to show you what you could do when it's light out, sunny and bright. You are going to tape your template to a window, and then you're going to tape your paper, your watercolor paper, over it, lining it up. And if it's sunny and bright out, immediately you will see your template shine through your paper. Then you're going to use a pencil first, and you're very, very lightly going to trace a contour line of your template. So here is my tracing of my template. So I went through, like I showed you on the window, and I used a pencil to lightly trace a contour line drawing of my template. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go over your pencil lines with a Sharpie marker, very, very carefully. Fast forward a few minutes, and here is my completed drawing where I went through everything with a Sharpie marker. Now, the second thing we're going to do to our tracing is we are going to add some line quality to our drawing. So what you're going to do is you're going to choose areas in your drawing that you are going to thicken up the line. So these are going to be areas that you want to stand out. So I'm going to choose definitely around his face, his ears, and probably some of his legs. I want those areas to stand out the most. And all you're going to do is you're going to go back over some of your lines that you've already drawn. And I like to say that I'm just kind of doubling up the line. So I'm kind of just drawing a second, sometimes a third, maybe even a fourth line next to what I already have. So what I'm doing is I'm changing the weight of the line. I'm making it a little thicker, and as I do that, it's going to stand out a little bit more. So you're going to take your time, go through, double, triple, quadruple, not all of the lines drawing. Here is a before and after, adding some line quality to my drawing. You'll notice how much thicker the lines got. Okay, so our next step is going to be adding paint. Here's the fun stuff. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a little cup of water. You're going to use a small flat paintbrush, and you can tell it's flat because the crimp kind of crimps the bristles in a flat form, okay? And you're going to be using neon paint, okay? So I have my paint on a palette. If you have a palette at home, you could just use a piece of scrap paper or even rip a page out of a magazine, and you can use that. I've also got some paper towels here handy to blot off my paintbrush. So what you're going to do is you're going to start by painting the inside of your animal. Don't even worry about the background right now. You're going to choose between a warm color scheme or a cool color scheme. So you've got 3 warm colors and you've got 2 cool colors. And you're only going to be using those to paint in your animal. So I'm going to choose warm, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to dip your brush a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. And you're going to start just painting in areas. And we're kind of just putting in like, I don't know, maybe like a little blob, I guess we could call it. And you're going to spread them out, and you're just randomly putting the color down. Now try not to paint over your Sharpie marker lines, okay? And you're going to go through and do one color at a time. So I'm kind of going through with the pink, and I'm just painting in areas randomly, spreading them out. And some of my blobs, some of the areas that I'm painting are kind of long and linear, but then some of them are kind of more full, like a shape, okay? So you want to be careful not to smear your paint. And I'm not putting a ton of paint down on the paper. If you can see like globs of paint, you're putting down way too much. So you're putting down a little bit, and then you're kind of spreading it out to fill in. I will continue to do this with just the pink before I move on to another color. Now I'm ready to move on to the next warm color. So I'm going to clean my brush. You're going to use your little cup of water. Let the bristles hit the bottom of the cup while you swirl it around. And then you'll use your paper towel to blot off any extra water or paint. You want to make sure you keep your brush clean before you go into the next color. So then I'm going to go into orange, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with the pink, just filling in random areas on my animal, and I'm also going to allow this next color to kind of go next to the pink, right up alongside it. So I'm filling all the white space. By the time I'm done, everything will be filled. So again, you want to make sure that you don't paint over your black Sharpie lines. And it's okay if you kind of overlap, like I just put a little bit of orange over the pink and it kind of made this really cool area here. So it's okay to do that. You just want to make sure that you have kind of a variety of like shapes that you're painting. Some are long, some are wide, some are small, some are really skinny, and you want to just spread them out randomly. So you're not really thinking about it too much. There's no real pattern to this. We're just going very random. So I finished adding all of the orange. I actually went back and added some more pink areas too as I was filling it in. So I'm going to clean my brush, and the last color I'm going to add is yellow. And for the most part, I'll be filling all of those empty spaces with the yellow. So after my brush is clean, you want to blot that off. Have a clean brush when you dip into the next color. And any area I have not painted, I'm going to go in and add yellow. The yellow against all of those other colors really pops. There's a lot of contrast, so it's really going to pop out. Again, try not to paint over any Sharpie lines. Take your time. We're shooting for really good craftsmanship. We want good quality work. So don't rush and take your time painting in. There you have it. I have finished painting in my animal with a warm color scheme. You'll notice that I didn't leave any white areas. The only white areas I left were the white of his eyes, and I'm going to think for a little bit to see if I want to paint them in a color or if I want there to be more contrast and leave them empty. But stay tuned. We're going to let this dry, and then we will move on to the background. All right, we are back for the next step with our neon animal. We spent the last day going through and painting inside of the animal. You were to choose one of the two color groups, a warm color group or a cool color group. After you are done with that, you're now going to move on to the background. So whatever color group you didn't choose for the animal, you're now going to do for the background. So for my example, I am going to be doing my background a cool color group. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick one of your colors. I'm going to start with green. And in the background, you're going to go all the way around your animal. And when you're painting, you want your brush strokes to kind of like pull out away from your animal. So I'm kind of spreading and pulling that out and away. So the more you get done, it's going to look like the lines and the brush strokes are radiating out from the animal. Now I got to fill this little space. This is negative space. I got to fill this in. And that might be kind of challenging to do. Now notice I'm not filling the whole space, right? I'm just doing about an inch or maybe an inch and a half out from the animal. And I'm going to continue to go all the way around. So fast forward a few minutes and I have finished going around my animal with my first cool color. I'm going to clean my brush before I go into the next color. You want to make sure that you blot off any water on your brush. You don't want to water down your paint. So then I'm going to go into the next color. I'm going to choose blue. And I'm basically going to do the same thing, except I'm going to overlap a little bit. I'm going to overlap the blue over the green. Kind of makes a blue-green. Again, my brush strokes are going to radiate out and away from the animal. And it's okay to leave some of those brush strokes visible. You don't have to smooth it out. This will add some texture and some movement in your painting. Your eyes will kind of move out and away from the animal. Alright, I just finished going around with the blue paint. I'm going to clean my brush one last time, and now I'm going to go around with my last color. Now I know yellow is not a cool color. It's technically a warm color, but we're going to use it because we kind of need a third color. 2 colors is just not quite enough. And that way it'll kind of tie in into the warm colors in the animal too. Create a little bit of unity and harmony. So we're going to go around, and now same thing. I'm going to overlap a little bit. My brush strokes are going up and out away from the animal in a radial, kind of radiating away from the animal. And I'm going to fill in kind of all that empty space. Okay, and there you have it. I've gone through and painted my background. I'm going to take a minute, just kind of look at it and make any adjustments. Like I'm going to add a few more kind of blue brush strokes. The yellow kind of turned my blue green, so I want to add a little bit more blue. But take a minute to do any like finishing touches, any last minute things. Now that it's complete and you can kind of look at it as a whole, right? You want to kind of go in and add any last minute details. And the very last thing I have to do is finish the eyes. Like I had mentioned, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with the white of his eyes, so I'm going to actually paint them in green. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the green very carefully. Paint in the white eyes. And there you have it. And now I'm complete. So we're going to hang this up, let it dry, and you'll come back afterwards for the next step. Okay, so here we are ready for the next step with our neon animal. You're going to take a few minutes and touch up any of the Sharpie lines that you may have accidentally painted over. Some of us have really good craftsmanship, and we did a good job staying inside the lines while we were painting. Others, we need to take a little time right now to correct any mistakes that we accidentally made along the way. And look at it. Doesn't that look so much better? Now the next step is going to be adding a ton of patterns and doodles and designs onto your animal and background. Let's take a look at Dean Russo and some of his examples. Notice all of the marks that he made, and symbols and patterns and designs. Let's get creative making some of our own. If you have a hard time coming up with some of your own designs, take a look at this little cheat sheet. There's lots of little designs, swirls, dots, dashes. You can always refer to this if you are stuck and you don't have any ideas. You are then going to get one warm color and one cool color of paint. You're also going to get black and white. You're going to use a skinny paintbrush and a Q-tip. You're going to start with the skinny brush using a warm color any area that you had a cool color. For example, my background was cool colors, so I'm using a pink warm color to paint some designs and doodles in the background. You want to use a variety of designs and patterns. You should choose 3 to 4 different designs, but you're not limited to that. The more, the better. Also, try to fill as much space as you can. Then you're going to move on to the animal. My animal is painted with warm colors, so I am using a cool color, blue, to paint my designs on the animal. Again, you want to choose 3 to 4 different designs and try to fill up as much of the animal as you can. Now you will take your Q-tip using the black paint on one end and the white paint on the other, and you're going to stamp a bunch of different dots, whether you want to do polka dots or you want to outline your animal or you want to create dots in a grid formation. Again, you're going to use these to fill up more space and add more designs. So fast forward a few minutes. I have completed painting my doodles and designs on my animal and background, and my painting is now dry. The very last thing you're going to do is add more details with color pencils. Again, you want to choose colors that create contrast. For example, you would draw with a cool color on a warm color surface. Here are some things you can do. You can outline shapes, you can draw symbols, and you can shade with your color pencils. Here is my finished project. Let's take a closer look. Notice all of the space I filled with patterns and designs. Doesn't it look great? Now it's time to finish your masterpiece. Let's have some fun.